Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS. We've got a great guest, we've got great conversation. We've got Imran with us from Web Squadron. We're going to be talking about all things web design, WordPress. It should be a feast of knowledge. I've also got my great and patient co-host. So, Kurt, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Kurt Von Onen. I run an agency called Mañana No Mas, focused largely on membership and learning websites. We also work directly with the great folks at WP-Tonic and Lifter LMS.
And we're going to be discussing how Imran got into the world of WordPress and web design. It's an interesting story in itself. Plus, we're going to be discussing his thoughts of where WordPress is in the beginning of 2024 and web design, and a feast of other topics. But before we go into the meat and potatoes of this great interview, we've got a couple messages from the show's major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Back, folks. I just want to point out we've got a curated list of some of the best WordPress plugins and services, plus some great special deals from the major sponsors. You can get all these goodies by going over to wp-tonic.com/deals. wp-tonic.com/deals, and you find all the goodies there. What more could you ask for? Probably a lot, but that's all you're going to get from that page. So let's go straight into it, because I've attempted to do this twice, this introduction, and I have miserably failed listeners and viewers. But if you're a regular part of the tribe, you'd be well aware of my limitations. So Imran, it's great to have you on the show. I've been watching your YouTube channel for a long time. You're very entertaining. But you've also, so how did you get into the world of web design and then become a kind of YouTube WordPress celebrity? What was the twisty road that got you there?
I think I have the most twisted road ever possible, because most people, when you find out they work with WordPress or something, they either were involved in some sort of creative industry or they worked in web design for many years and then it's led to where they are. Me, if you go back 25 years ago, I was actually working, or I was studying for a medical degree with the eyes for optics at the University of Sheffield in the UK. Ocular motility movements of the eyes. And it was a great course. You know, let me tell you now, when you're in a class where there's only 25 people and there's only 2 boys and the rest are female, it's a great time to be at university. Let me tell you that now. It was a great course. However, in 1999, I had a brain tumor and it was removed, and it actually changed my perspective on life. So at the age of like 20, I started thinking about, what do I really want out of life? And I wanted to do what I want to do.
Well, it's extremely dangerous, isn't it?
It is. You know, I was in that kind of rebel mode. So I left university in 4 months after my operation. I left university. I left home. I literally went off the grid. No one knew where I was. I went to live in a bedsit because I was fed up of friends, family, basically everyone that didn't agree with me. Got a job, and I just started working with the council. And eventually I went back to university to do a part-time law degree, got a job in the NHS. And it was in the NHS that I started building a name for myself, because I started analyzing data and working with SQL databases and analyzing information, Excel, data mining. And it was at that point, around 2003, I started getting I wanted to get involved with websites. There was a team next door to us. They were the slowest technical team ever. They would build
I'm
websites.
I'm so surprised to hear that.
They took their time, and I watched them, and I started learning HTML and, designing and styling and all of that. And bit by bit, I started to improve my skill set, and I started designing websites, because while I was studying my law degree, because I did it in the evening, I was classed as a mature student. And there were lots of people in my class that were either around the same age, or they were professionals in their own areas. And some of them were exploring websites as well. Remember, this is 2003. This is still for some people, the early days of the internet still, relatively. So I started building websites.
I done my degree, and I was running one business, and I started as a freelance. I don't know if you can forgive me for this, actually. I was one of those that was knocking out Flash websites and doing action script.
Flash was the thing then.
I was one of those tossers.
No. Everything was Flash then, you see. I mean, come on. The moment we realized we couldn't open Flash websites on our iPhones in 2007, we all were like, what? How dare they? Now we don't care for Flash, but back then we were like horrified. I can't open a Flash website. But so I had my NHS job, but I still tinkered with websites. And then WordPress came on the scene, or it was there, and I played around with that. But I always got frustrated because I wasn't an expert in web design. And I could, I always felt like I was spending money. I mean, back then, you remember Theme Forest? Every other week you went and you bought a theme. Oh, I want to do something else. Oh, I'll buy another theme, and I want this. Oh, I'll buy another theme, and
I look back now, and I wish I'd been more involved in the community, because I always felt that this sickness that you're describing was just me.
It was,
but I now realise that everybody was in the same boat. So there we go. You
were throwing around $30-$40 left, right, center because you wanted a new theme. And so, up until about 6-7 years ago, I was kind of in and out of the WordPress website design, because it was like a bit of a hobby, but I wouldn't class myself ever as an expert. And then it wasn't until around 2017 I really put more effort into it. And I started using page builders. I was, mainly WordPress. I focused on WordPress. I tried Wix. I tried Squarespace. I tried lots of other solutions.
Do you have to swear on this podcast?
What's that? Sorry?
Do you have to swear on this podcast?
Because I said, look, I was one of those people in 2011 when Wix came out. I got really excited. 3 weeks later,
I don't think I could ever link excitement to Wix. I don't think I could ever do that. I'm sorry.
I think I got caught into that drag and drop and build out. And then I realized very quickly, this is really rubbish. And if anyone out there likes Wix,
funny enough, fine. A lot of my latest dates have the same response after they go out with me, actually.
Oh, I mean, that's another way of looking at drag and drop. But yeah, it's the same kind of concept in a way, I suppose. Yeah. And so by 2017, 2018, I got into Elementor, and I have used other page builders as well. But I found that I was more empowered. And when the lockdown hit in 2020, I had a heart attack. So I've got a stent in my heart now. So I had a heart attack very early on. And again, I think every time I have like something affecting my health, I stop and think, what do I really want to do with my life?
I don't get this. You look at one of the most healthiest people we've had on the show for quite a long time.
What? I blame eating lots of samosas when I was a kid, I think. So I blame my parents for my health or whatever had built up in my heart then. But 2020, I sort of was like, I'm working 80 to 90 hours a week with the NHS. I was head of business intelligence. I'm busting a gut. I support my team. I'm always working hard. Am I really, really happy? And I realized, you know what? I'm happier when I'm creating, when I'm writing, when I'm creating digital art, when I'm making websites, when I know I'm doing something that makes a real difference. So I put more effort into the Web Squadron web agency. I started the YouTube channel. I could see things getting better, and in terms of getting referrals, word of mouth, making connections. And then I decided January 2022, I retired from the NHS. And for the first 2 months, the income went like that, boom. Because now you don't have a guaranteed income. Your income's gone. But now I'm earning more now than I was when I was employed. And it's taken time. And I kept looking at it at, what do I need to earn to break even with your lifestyle and your whatever you spend? So that I could do. And I just keep working with a smile, do what I love doing. And you know what? I probably work harder now than I think I ever done before. I think I put more hours in now, every moment I have, but I love it. And that's the big difference. Before you might have worked 70 hours, but it was for someone else. You were doing it because they told you to work. They told you to attend a meeting. They told you to create a report. And deep down, you knew they wouldn't understand it, but you had to create it. But now I decide if I'm going to build a website for you or not. I decide if I'm going to create a video. I decide on the direction I want to go in. And having that control, there's something they say, don't they? They say people, when they hit their 40s, they have a midlife crisis, or they suddenly have a change of direction in what they want to do. And I do think that the decision I made nearly 2 years ago now is probably the best decision I ever made. And I don't regret it. I get to spend time with my family more. I get to take my son to school, which I wasn't doing before. I pick him up. I take him to school. I pick him up. We go for walks. So I feel like I enjoy life more. There you go. That's my really long answer.
No, it's fantastic. Let's hope you feel the same about coming on this podcast.
No, I regret it already.
Yeah, no.
I
would. Funny enough, there's been a few guests that have said they've regretted it. It's amazing that I get more people coming on. I think the great leader, his little interrogation on this show, but I think he dealt with me easily, didn't he? He dealt with me with the disdain that I should be treated with. So, Kurt, on to the next question.
Well, we've already talked about Wix and Squarespace, so I was hoping we could jump into some details about Joomla and building something that's data-driven.
My experience with Joomla is not good at all.
Oh, God.
I used to have a really big Joomla project, and I'm
could be worse. It could be worse. You could be working with Drupal, couldn't you?
So first off, thanks so much for the way that you've shared there. It almost made me thankful that I survived cancer before I paid any money for college. So I found out what I wanted to do without going to that secondary education. So I saved myself that one. If we were to think about WordPress and the community and thinking about where it is in 2024, I mean, do you stay in tune with it? Do you have any opinions about kind of WordPress and its community right now?
I do. So one of the reasons why I love WordPress is that there is a community.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of people. There's always someone who can either help you out or direct you. And there's so many tutorials. There's so many groups on Facebook, YouTube, loads of places, loads of forums. But at the same time, the toxicity that is building within the community is getting worse. And I feel like I keep saying to people, we are WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, Webflow. There's all these other communities. They hate WordPress. My neighbor, literally next door to me, right? When he asked me what I do and I said WordPress, his face dropped because he works with Magento and he goes to America quite a lot and he works with a company there. And the minute I said WordPress, it was almost like he was judging me. And I feel like we are so powerful. We're over 40% of the...
You've ever worked on a Magento? You ever worked using that godforsaken bit of Adobe crap? Have you ever tried to work on that? Because I've had the
Yeah.
misfortune of having to work with it. All right,
No,
sorry.
I mean, it's so over 40% of websites still use WordPress. But what I find is that now that we have so many theme builders and page builders, it's literally like, oh, you use Elementor, ooh, you use Bricks, you use Breakdowns, you use Gutenberg. There's all this like hatred. And I keep saying to people, who cares? Like, it's like saying, yeah, I drive a BMW. Oh, you drive a Mercedes. Oh, you've got a Ferrari. Who cares? Whatever sandwich you eat, whatever drink you drink, whatever tissue you use to wipe your ass, I don't care. If you get the job done, you got the job done. And I just feel like what I do like, though, is a lot of the people that I network with, we don't care what page builder we use. We sometimes mock each other. Oh, you use this. Oh, you use that. We mock each other, but it's friendly. There's no animosity. But I do think that there is a danger, I think, within WordPress, and I think it's growing. And I think the reason it's getting more toxic is a little bit due to social media generally. So if you look at Twitter, if you look at TikTok, if you look at loads of these groups, it's empowered keyboard warriors where if they don't...
Never.
it's empowered the Jonathans and the Kurts of this world. So if someone doesn't like your YouTube video, they'll come on and go, I don't like the way you look. Well, why are you watching?
I totally understand it, because I don't like the way I look. So
no. I mean, I did think twice about. I was like, damn, do I really want to be with these two? And I did, but no. But it's like, so it's empowered people to be a little bit, I don't want to say nasty, but they can be a bit nasty. And I always
nasty
feel like,
WordPress people, nasty, never.
No, it's like,
never.
I worry that we're going to get worse. But then,
well, I think this is, sorry to interrupt, Kurt.
No, go.
But
it's your live chat.
But I think we did a round table show last week, and we had Matt Medeiros and we had Kate, and it was a good discussion. And I kind of, I'm not sure if my American panelists or my audience, I used a very English term, a kind of witch's brew. And I do agree with you about the synopsis that you were laying out, that it seems to be getting a bit worse. And I used to do a weekly roundtable show, and I decided to make it a monthly one because I think, unfortunately, I was contributing to that, but I was trying to do it in a very English, sarcastic, humorous, but I think it came across to some people as not being that funny. But I think in this Witch's Brew, I think there's two areas to this. I think there's the area where Gutenberg is going and how the page builders, which are great, but they also means that the market fragments. But in some ways, it's always been highly fragmented. But then you got the other camp who don't like the way that WordPress is run. And they've got some legitimate, I feel they've got some legitimate concerns. But they're also, a lot of that crowd have extreme left-wing views, and they slander people. They ban you from Twitter. They've got an external political agenda that they want to impose on the general WordPress community, and I think these different factors all intertwined into this kind of witch's brew of toxicity. Do you think there's anything to what I've just outlined, or do you think I'm losing the plot to some extent?
No. I think you're right about that. But it's I just think that people need to stop attacking one another and remember that we're web designers. And I always say that most of the time, you know, if you're a Shopify person and that's all you're going to build websites with, I understand Shopify. I don't like using it, but if that's what you want to use, that's your tool of choice and that's your business model and you're earning with it and you're getting clients and they're happy as well, then, you know, we should be supporting one another. Because to be honest, let's say Kurt uses Shopify, let's just say, right? And I don't, but I need to build an e-commerce website. I can still learn from what Kurt does. I can still learn by how does he present? What has he experienced with like e-commerce, whether it's or WooCommerce or whatever? And I feel like that's the thing that's getting lost with a lot of people with like, well, they look at what you use and then they form like a divide or a tribe. And I feel like, you know, we're web designers, we're creative people, you know. It reminds me of digital art. So in 2007, I went and got myself one of those wonderful Wacom digital tablets, and I was, you know, creating digital art. And I got a lot of criticism from people that said, that's not art. Real art is when you're using a proper paintbrush. And I was like, the difference is, though, I'm wasting less resources because I can delete what I get wrong. So I'm probably better for the environment. But it was like, it doesn't matter what tool you use, you know. And now with AI and all these creative tools out there for us, we shouldn't be ashamed of saying, I'm a writer, I'm an artist, I'm a web designer, I create videos. You know, if you're good at it, you should tell the world about it. You know, be happy with what you do.
Yeah, I totally agree. But why? Let's remove the Gutenberg. Well, the kind of thing about Matt and the way that WordPress is governed and the recent elements to that. But let's focus on the page builders and Gutenberg. Now, I had Kevin on the show a few weeks ago, and he kind of upset a few people. And I think what he was saying, obviously, he's been accused of mercilessly pushing his own book of business. And there's some justification to that, but also I don't see any problem in it because I think we're all pushing our book of business to some extent. But I think the core of some of his criticisms were justified. But I also understand why people got a bit upset because it's like two sets were talking two different languages. You had your kind of hardcore developer who could knock up a JSON file or knock up a custom block in 10 minutes, and they're wondering what the hell's. And then you've got your kind of more visual individual from web design, the visual graphic design, who started off with Divi, maybe stayed with Divi, moved to using Animator, looking at bricks maybe now, where they don't want to become a hardcore React developer. They don't feel they should need to be able to knock up a custom block to do something. And then you got Kevin's argument that the way that the basic Gutenberg project has gone, it makes it even less accessible and based on class structure that a modern CSS framework like Tailwind promotes.
Yep.
But it looked like the two groups were almost like talking two different languages, and that's why they were getting so upset. What's your own take? Do you think there's anything to what I've just said?
No, you're absolutely right. It just reminds me of the same argument we hear all the time, where basically you have the hard coders who don't like the page building crowd. And the page builders will say, yeah, but it's easier to build then, and it's more efficient than doing the hard coding route. And I often say to both parties that, well, you could almost argue that, right, why are you even using WordPress? If you want to go down the real hardcore coding route, why are you even using WordPress? Why are you not building it in the way it was being built 20, 25 years ago? So, and I feel like I always come back to the same conclusion that whether you want to do the hard code route, whether you want to use a framework, whether you want to use a page builder, whatever you're comfortable with, you do it. And I think there's always vulnerabilities and flaws and issues with whatever method you use. The trick, though, is how do we counter that flaw, and how do we work around it to ensure that our websites and our client websites are functional and do what they need to do? Because I don't think any solution out there is perfect at all. So even a hard-coded website will have flaws, and that's what really gets me. I think every time when I see like this like bickering in groups or whatever, I always feel like you're literally arguing over how to eat an apple, but it's the same apple at the end of the day, right? But and so as long as you're not doing anything illegal or dangerous, or you're not breaking any rules or whatever.
Yeah, but let's have, where do you personally feel the Gutenberg editor and the Gutenberg project is? Can you give like one or two strengths where it is, and then give one or two weaknesses that are you feel that are obvious where it is?
For me, the strengths are that you can build a really good high performing website in terms of page speed, performance, and all of that from the get-go. It's not going to take a lot of effort. You don't have to use too many plugins. You can build a really good website. And I feel like it's not that difficult to explain. And I think it's easier for people if they're happy to just download a theme and then just use the standard blocks. They can be out the door really quick. They can get it done. The flaw with it, though, is that, and if anyone out here loves Gutenberg, please don't take this as a criticism. I don't find it sexy enough, and this is my problem. If I'm deciding on what clothes I'm going to wear, what phone I'm going to get, what device I'm going to have on my thing, it's got to be something that I feel like I want to use it. I want to, I really want to play with it. And I always find that with Gutenberg, for me, it feels a little bit too much like they're slow. It's evolving. Don't get me wrong, it is evolving, but it's doing it at a bit of a slow rate. And I feel like, how much has it moved on since it first came out? I do believe, and I've said this 2 years ago, it wouldn't surprise me if in 5 years' time I switched to all Gutenberg. It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not there yet, because I was going to move to it a bit more last year, but then I found, but I'm still going to have to use an extra plugin on top, like Generate Press or something. I want to get to that stage where I know I can install WordPress, pure Gutenberg, boom, away we go, and I'm not paying third-party licenses left, right, center for add-ons.
This is when we need Matt back on the show to say, I told you from the beginning it was going to be 10 years, Imran.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when he came out. I don't know wherever he said that. I never heard that it was going to take 10 years, but there we go. Never heard that one. Well, we're going to go for our break. When we come back, we've got some other fabulous questions. I've enjoyed the discussion so far. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Tired of hosting providers that can't handle high traffic loads? Conversio is here to help. Our platform can handle any amount of traffic, all without slowing down or crashing. With immediate Slack support, performance optimization, and a team that thrives on resolving technical challenges, your e-commerce business is in safe hands. Learn more about Conversio at conversio.com.
Coming back, folks, we've had a feast with Ingman. We've discussed all sorts of WordPress stuff. He's laughed at my jokes. Before we go on to the other, he's a sexy beast. So before we go on, I just want to point out that if you're looking for a great WordPress partner, especially if you've got a learning management system, a membership, or a community-based website project using BuddyBoss why don't you look at WP-Tonic as your hosting and your project partner? We offer fantastic hosting and a lot more than that. You can find all the details by going over to wp-tonic.com/partners, wp-tonic.com/partners. And we'd love to have a chat and help you with your upcoming learning management or buddy boss project. So I think I'm going to throw it over to Kurt again. I think we're on question 3. We better hurry up here. All right.
We will. I'll be quicker with my answers.
No, it's been my interruptions that have been the problem.
Imran's been cool enough to already answer half the question, I think, here. But when we think about web design freelancers and how they're trying to grow, get ahead, all the normal challenges of being a freelancer, what do you think are their biggest mistakes connected to like branding and social outreach? Because you've had some success with it.
Yeah, so I think, and this is something I talk about a lot, is inconsistent branding. I don't think people stop to think about, who am I trying to reach? What do I offer? What can I do for you? And they don't back it up. So if you are going to work on a dentist website, or you're going to do something that's going to help dentists out there, you need to be putting it out on social media. You need to be sharing the success stories. You need to be showing what you do. And I feel like people, they call themselves a web designer, but they don't focus on the strengths of their brand. And I feel like if you're not consistent with what you're putting out there, you're just like any other web designer. And if you look at the successful people on LinkedIn and whatever, especially the SEO experts, let me be honest, a lot of the SEO experts on LinkedIn talk garbage. They're regurgitating what someone else has done, but they're consistent with the video, with the, whenever they say, here's the 10 things you need to do, they keep doing that. And if you're consistent, people notice you more. And that leads into the second thing I want to say is a lot of people, they underestimate social media. The amount of people that say, I'm struggling to get clients. How do I get clients? I go, well, are you on LinkedIn? Yeah, but I don't really post. Twitter? Well, now and again. They're just not putting themselves out there. And you don't want to say, hey, use me. I'll build your website for you. No. 20% of your tweets can be where you showcase your products or what you do. But the other 80% need to be about you. Who are you? Why should anyone care? Because strangers, when they connect with you and go, I quite like Jonathan. I like what he's doing.
That would never happen.
I know. I had to stretch the reality then a little. But if people say
I'm on a certain sub list of WordPress fanatics, I'm on their digital death list.
But if people just like, look, a friend of mine, she runs a clinic for the eyes in London, and she now wants to reach more clients. And I said to her, you're on LinkedIn, but you never post. The trick, here's the trick. And if you're watching this, everyone, this is what you do. And I hope you all do this. Grab your phone and record a 30-second video every day, just a selfie video talking about something you're doing with a client. Maybe you've had an idea, maybe you've had a problem, 30 seconds, and then stick it on LinkedIn. And if that's the only thing you do every day, you will get noticed, because people might stop and watch. And there's a huge high chance that they might want to connect with you. So I'm not asking you to create video. I'm not asking you to create a PDF or an image or a carousel, literally a 30-second video. And it doesn't have to be perfect or edited, just really simple. Do it on LinkedIn. People will spot you. People will want to work with you.
I hope you are aware that we have the LinkedIn expert here. My beloved co-host, he's written a whole course.
Kurt is now going to say, Imran, you're talking rubbish.
No, Imran, you're on the money, because people are investing in all these. They're scattering themselves. I got to do TikTok. I got to do Facebook. I got to do X. And I'm like, you're a person. Pick one that's going to bring you your best audience, your best interactive audience. And for me, it's LinkedIn, because LinkedIn per capita has the highest spending audience.
Businesses.
the most business decision makers are on LinkedIn. And I agree with you completely. You've got to be consistent and you've got to be in front of people every day. And it doesn't have to be the best content. It's just got to be content, and you got to be approachable. You know, you have to be approachable and somebody that someone, to your point, looks at it and goes, Imran's a pretty cool dude. I think I could connect with that guy. And then, you know, that might not be the person that you get the work from. They might refer you to 6 other people, but it's that you got to keep that churn going.
Well, I'll tell you what I do every Friday morning, and it takes 1 hour of my time. I already have decided what I'm going to say. I record like a video which is about 6 minutes long, and it's where I talk about 10 different things. I then edit it into 10 videos, and they're 30 seconds each, and then I just schedule them. And for the next 10 days, they go out at midday every day onto LinkedIn. And that's it. That's 1 hour of my time. So if you can do that, I think you can do that. And I think people they struggle because they go, I haven't got the time. And then I go, yeah, but if you're not putting yourself out there, you can't complain if people aren't finding you. And I think you're absolutely right. You know, you got to be consistent. But yeah, that's what I would say about the mistakes when it comes to branding and social outreach. You know, put yourselves out there, build a persona. And that's something else you got to do as well. Some people are afraid of talking on camera. And I keep saying to them, we all have to do it. We all have to start somewhere. And, you might have a video call with a client. If that client has already seen you on a video somewhere, they kind of know what to expect, kind of thing. There's always a bit of a little connection already made, so you can be more at ease.
Yeah. And even if you're nervous to speak on video, the nervousness to speak on video can become content that establishes your persona. It all just works together. With that, I'm going to pass to Jonathan.
All right. I think you're totally right there, what you're both are trying to point out. But let's go on to another thorny subject, which I think is a nightmare, really. And hopefully you got some insights, because I've been doing web projects for almost 20 years now, and I still struggle on this. Pricing web design projects and the ever discussion of scope creep and how you deal with it. You know, and I feel you can I call it project size. You know, you have a set list of things you're going to do and try and turn it into a digital product. And by what you were saying about the dentist, focus on a particular industry or individual that you like working with and can help. You can do all of that, but I think these will help, but I still think your pricing and the correct pricing and dealing with scope creep to some degree. Got any thoughts and insights about this particular subject?
I think we've all been there when we first start off and in the early part of our career, where we accepted scope creep because we were afraid of letting the client down or losing the client. And we said yes to every job that came through the door, even if you didn't like the client, you didn't like the work, you didn't fully believe it, but you needed the income. And I've become very hard now on how I deal with clients and what I will work with in the last 2 years, where I like to work with what I call is like a pricing ladder. So I will say that, I will give the client options, and I will say, here's what you get as the basic package or whatever for building the website. If you want a bit more, it's X. If you want more revisions, there's another price. If there's a bit more excess you want, other facilities, SEO, whatever, the price goes up. And I always remind them of like what I've done for them. So whenever I work with a client, every day I will email them to let them know where we are. And if I've said that I like the homepage, you're allowed 2 revisions or 2 loads of rounds of revisions. When we get to the contact page, you're allowed 2 rounds of revision. I let them know. And I'm kind of like letting them know that, like, if you want more, there's going to be an additional cost. So I try and control the scope creep. And I try and get, well, look, what I do is, and I started doing this 2 years ago and it's worked, is I now charge for discovery calls. So someone wants to work with me, I will have the initial maybe phone call or exchange of emails to get a feeling for, well, what are they after? And, could this work for both parties? And the moment I now feel like now they want to know more about the website and what I'm going to do for them, I then say there's going to be a discovery call and it's going to cost X. And a load of people say no. And I don't mind. I treat every project like it is not a real project. Until they pay a deposit and we are now working together, I treat it like I don't care. And in the old days, even if a really nasty person said, I want to work with you, and they're only going to pay X, like you might have said $1,000 for a website, and they go, oh, I'm only going to pay 300. You kind of were like, oh, all right, then, yeah, we'll do it for 300 kind of thing. This is like a long time ago, which I don't like doing anymore. But once they knew they had you, they could kind of control you, and scope creep came in and they told you what to do. Now I'm a bit like, no, I'm not going to go lower. And, if you want me to go lower, here's what that $1,000 includes. You now decide what you want to take out. So here's an itemized proposal, right? That's $1,000. You only want to pay 300, right? You take out what you want to get to 300. If that means I only do your home page and your contact page, and I don't do any of the other pages and no SEO and nothing like that, fine. But that's what you get. So that if then later on they go, oh, could you also do my about page? I go, no, you want me to do the about page? There's the cost for it. So I have found being really blunt has actually worked quite well, because I have found that if anyone doesn't like it when I go, no, I'm not going to offer a discount, they might throw some expletives my way, but I then treat that as like I saved myself a problem later on, because they don't respect me. And I often say to them, what business do you do? And they run a shop. And I go, right, someone comes in, they want to buy a car, but they're not going to pay the full price. Would you knock it down? They're not going to pay the full price for an item of clothing. Do you halve it for them? Work with a solicitor. They charge $400 per hour. I go, what if someone desperately needed your help, but they could only afford $100? It was like, we wouldn't work with them. And it's like going, so why do you think it should be any different for us? And one of the reasons is, and I've mentioned this before to people, is, I don't know how you feel about this, but web designers are often seen to be the lowest of the low. So if you're in a room with people, go, oh, what do you do? Oh, I run a shop. Oh, cool. What do you do? Oh, I run a garage. Oh, cool. What do you do? Oh, I'm a web designer. Oh, that must be really easy. They think we have an easy job. They think we just like magically create websites like that. And I think it's because nowhere really, I mean, look, when was the last time you saw a program on Netflix about web designers? Whenever was there a documentary about web designers and what we do? So often we are like, people don't understand us, they think we can, and sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, because there's too many adverts out there that say, hey, you can build a website in 30 minutes. The GoDaddy adverts and stuff, you can do it in 30 minutes. People think it's really easy. So sometimes we have to turn around and go, no, you want a website that's going to double your income. You want a website that's going to help you grow your business. It's going to cost X to do that. If you want a really cheap website, you can go over there, you can do it yourself. You know where I am. I'm not going anywhere, but my price is my price. And that's something that the moment I made that mindset change to not devalue what I bring to the table or what I do, I started finding I was now getting higher premium clients, and all of the smaller clients, I don't mean that in a rude way, but I don't miss them, because I would rather build one website for, say, $5,000 than 10 websites for $500, because I'd rather spend 1 week than 10 weeks working with people who basically, they don't care about you. You know, they'll email you. They'll, oh, change this, change that. Oh, increase the size of my logo, change the wording, you know, 100 changes. And now I'm very like, I'm very blunt on what I will do for the price. And if I don't like it, I don't worry. If it means that's one less website and I've lost out on, say, $500 because I never bank on it. In fact, I can tell you now, when I do get paid, I never take the money out of our business account and put it into my own personal account. I leave it there. I treat it like virtual money until I know they're happy, it's signed off, and now I take it in case they ever want a refund or if there's ever any issue. So I treat every job, every request, I mean, I get them all the time. Oh, might want to work with you, might want a website. I might send an email, but I treat it like we may never work together. If we do, great, but I'm not going to sit there and go, 10 emails today. If each of them is $1,000, that's $10,000. Brilliant. No, I don't treat it like that. So if they walk away, I'm not upset. I don't feel like I missed out. I just treat it like, fine, whatever. Carry on with what else you got to do. You know, carry on with the YouTube video I've got to record and edit. Just carry on with whatever else is on your task list, and don't get upset by it.
Yeah.
I do give very long answers, don't I?
All right, fair enough. Over to you, Kurt.
That whole approach is so freeing because there's a ton of things I do all day long, and some of them generate revenue, right? And a lot of it doesn't, but it's interesting the way to hear you say it the way that you do. It's pretty cool. If we jump to another subject, it would be AI. And you've already mentioned AI today with like AI for art, AI for web, I mean, everything's got AI now. We did a whole show on AI. I don't even know what I'd use today.
No, I absolutely love it. The minute I jumped onto the Chat GPT train over a year ago, creating social media posts, creating content for websites when your client hasn't got a clue, just being able, I mean, I could find a video on YouTube, get the transcript, stick it into Chat GPT and say, summarize this for me without even watching the video. I mean, digital art, creating things, it's so much fun. And I know some people are worried about AI. And I keep saying AI is a tool. It's no different to when Excel first came about, or calculators, or PowerPoint. Everything out there is a tool. You still need the human. I do not believe that you're ever going to get a full-blown AI web designing tool, because someone still needs to speak to the client or the customer to refine it. What AI will do is make it quicker. So maybe AI will generate a website in 5 minutes, but you're still going to need me. And if we ever got to a point where AI did take away web design, well, you can either sit there and cry and complain, or you can find something else to put your time into. So you can find another area, another niche, something else to put your skills, transfer your skills. But I think AI is, no, I do have a complaint, actually. I do have a complaint about AI. There's too much. I struggle to keep up to date with every day there's a new tool, and I'm going, I'll tell you what we're missing. And if you know someone who can do this really well, get them to do it. We need a dedicated YouTube channel that actually tells me the best tool to use. So there's all these image generation tools. There's all these tools for productivity. Don't just tell me what you've been sponsored to tell me. Tell me the goddamn truth. Tell me what is the best tool to use for scheduling social media posts. That's what's missing, because I do feel like every day there is something new, and I feel flooded.
Well, I signed up for a lifetime AI tool that would help me generate custom songs.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you right now, that sucks. Don't sign up for that one.
I was looking forward to a tune there. Oh, there we
I
go.
thought you were going to like play something. And I think that's the problem in that, like, you can't get away from TikTok videos and YouTube shorts and blogs and newsletters. And every single one of them will say, this is the best tool to use. And then you realize, I'll tell you what, Hey Jen. So there's been loads of adverts about AR avatars, and Hey Jen, you do, I think, like a 2-minute recording, and it takes your face and your voice and it generates an avatar you, right? I tried it. I can't, it's probably the worst AI avatar tool I have ever come across, but everyone out there on TikTok and YouTube is promoting it, but it's rubbish. And I think that's what we're missing.
Well, some of the tools, I've invested a bit of money and they've made a big difference. But there's one tool, it's called Be Human, and it looks fabulous. And I bought into it, and it's never worked from day one. And the support, I think at WP-Tonic with Kirk and my other team members, we do a fantastic job on support. We really do try and be as supportive as possible with our hosting and WordPress, but it's some of the worst support I've ever come across from this company, and it's just unbelievable. Their core product doesn't work. They keep sending me emails, and it's just hilarious. I would be ashamed in running a company like that, but but it is what it is, isn't it? So I think I've got the last question. And being that you're from the UK, you probably understand. I think some of our American guests, I think some of them understand Doctor Who, but some of them have no idea what I'm talking about.
I think they do, yeah.
Right. So if you had your own time machine, your TARDIS, and you could go back to the beginning, I don't know where you would go back to, because you've had an interesting path anyway. Is there anything that you wish if you were advising yourself, mentoring yourself, that you could just say to yourself that would assist you?
I think that I think if I could go back, say 5 years previously, to about 2018, to when I was really taking it seriously, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was learning and observing what other people do. And, I was on LinkedIn and all these places. I just did not use it. And I now regret that I didn't start putting myself out there more. Because look, in the last 2 years, things have really developed. You build a brand, you build a personality, people get to know you, people want to work with you, or talk to you, whatever. And I just wish I'd started it 5 years ago, because I could have, but I didn't, because I wasn't brave enough. I was scared. I thought, there's all these experts, who am I? But you know what, everyone starts somewhere. Everyone. So if anyone out there wants to create a channel about WordPress or web design or how to run a business, go and do it. You want to get yourself onto social media and you're being lazy, stop being lazy, get on and do it. I should have started scaling upwards. I should have started being more blunt about how I'm going to run the business and what prices I'm going to charge. I need to, if I could go back 5 years, it was literally being more hard and not chasing the pound signs. I was earning a great salary 5 years ago, really good salary. I was very happy. But even then, when someone said, I'm only going to pay $50 for a website, I was like, okay, cool. Why? Why was I doing that? Why was I letting myself be taken advantage of? And I think one of the things I do a lot now, and I try to release a video every week about business advice, is I keep saying to people, don't get taken for a ride. Even when you're struggling, right? Don't accept the worst deal on the table, even when you're struggling, because that worst deal might help you to go and buy some fish and chips. But if you're going to go to sleep worried, panicking, how do I satisfy this client? How do I build this website? I told them I could do WooCommerce, but I don't know how to do WooCommerce. That stress is gonna wreck your mind and your family and everything, and it's not worth it. You know, was that $100 really worth all that stress? So I feel like if I could go back in time, I wish someone had just put me in a corner and gone, don't say yes to everything, right? Even if you're going to struggle a bit, I'd rather struggle a bit than. I've worked with some really bad people, really nasty.
I think
people.
everybody has, haven't they?
Yeah,
I used to think it was just me, and I was incompetent.
No.
But on the other hand, you do have to have business processes.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of web people in this space is, if you leave a vacuum, that vacuum will be filled. And if you just let projects just drift and you allow clients just to provide material, and there's nothing in the contract about how long a project will be left open, and then you have to rebid it, and if there's nothing there, it's just a vacuum, that vacuum will be filled, and that vacuum will be filled by the client. And the client will not, even if the project gets finished in the end, months and months after it should be, they will take no responsibility. They will blame you because you took that check. So if there's a vacuum, that be aware that vacuum is going to be filled by the client, and it's not going to go that well.
There's one bit of advice I would also say that I wish I could have had 5 years ago, and I think everyone should take note of this. Throughout social media now, there are so many videos saying overnight you could change your life and career and make $10,000 in a week.
You mean that book from the Apsuna guy that reckons you can build $1 million business over a weekend?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about that particular book.
No, it's just and people are buying it and believing it. And what I keep saying to everyone is patience, right? You will not make $10,000 a week or a month just like that. It will take time, and you may never get there, or you may exceed it, but it takes time. Okay, so don't, just because someone has said, hey, I'm a web designer and I'm got a 7-figure salary per year, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they used AI to make the video pretend they got values. I don't believe half the social media influencers out there that are saying, hey, buy my course and do this and whatever. Don't fall for that. If they've done it, great, but you don't know for sure. Take time, right? And you will get to where you need to get to, but don't rush into things. Don't panic. Don't try and do a million things. What you want to do is find 2 or 3 things that you know or you think you can do, and do them really well. Like, really put your all into them. If they fail, they fail. Move on to something else. If they succeed, keep building on it. And because 5 years ago, I was like, I'll do this, I'll do a bit of that. And I was stretching myself thin. Whereas now, I still stretch myself thin.
You waste your time coming on a particular podcast.
I know.
There we go. You could have been making another.
You enjoy it more, but you enjoy it more.
You've been a good guest, though.
Yeah,
you've taken,
thanks.
and hopefully you will agree to come back on the show.
Yeah, look, whenever you want.
So,
let me know.
Yeah. So, Imran, what is the best way to find out more about you and the subjects you're passionate about?
I'll tell you what, just go to Google, do a search for Web Squadron. We got a YouTube channel, we got a Facebook group as well. But hey, I think I put out a video every other day at the moment, sometimes 2 or 3 a day. But if you ever want to, just do a search for Web Squadron. Got a web design agency as well. I don't just do videos, but I love connecting with people. And most of all, I love to know I've made a difference. And if I've done that, I sleep well.
Well, with
I think Kurt jumped off.
I think
Kurt's had
he's
enough.
had to leave. I think he had another appointment
He did.
booked. But I've really enjoyed the discussion. Hopefully you come back. I think if and also join the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. We're posting videos and content that you, the WordPress professional, will find useful, and it does show your support. I know I regularly say it, but we got, like this interview this week, we got some fabulous guests coming up in April and March. And I'm sure you're going to be delighted by the discussions, the knowledge that our guests are prepared to share. We will be back soon, folks. Bye.